harm, or even death.
Ah, broken blood vessel!
You've been warned. The Sports Fix.
Hey guys, before we go to the break, I want to talk to you a little bit again about our good friends at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted, the UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championships, some of the hottest fights in the world today. Each and every one of their huge events, Harry Buffalo is one of the few places in Northeast Ohio you can go there and watch each and every UFC fight at the Harry Buffalo. And let me tell you, I've been there. The people are out the door. They are to the rafters. It is one of the craziest environments for some UFC fights. Wing Mondays, they've got great deals on wings and drinks, and every day of the week there's a different special, a different deal. And don't forget the Bison Burger, the unbelievable. It is the combination of a fantastic burger and eating healthy combined into one unbelievable sandwich. You have got to get a Bison Burger while you're there. So whatever you're looking for, whatever day of the week, Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sundays, there's something for you at the Harry Buffalo North Olmsted, just outside Great Northern Mall. Check them out today. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
Hey, this is Antoine Jameson, and you listen to the Sports Fix.
Fantasy sports lovers, you put so much time, hard work, and effort into playing week to week that it quickly stops being a fantasy and starts getting real. And when the smoke clears, you want to show off those victories with a real prize.
I mean, a really real prize.
Nobody does that like Fantasy Jocks. The crew over at Fantasy Jocks have beautiful, high-quality, and heavy-duty championship belts, rings, trophies, and so much more for all your fantasy sports needs. There's literally only one place to go. Tom. The Sports Fix is now available every day on the world's largest internet radio service, iHeartRadio. Download the free iHeartRadio app, subscribe to the show, and get your fix.
This is what matters. This is beyond X's and O's. This is the difference mutual respect makes. This is what character looks like. This is what defines us in Ohio. This is sportsmanship. School sports. It's not the outcome that matters most, but the way the games are played. This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Back in 1990, when I joined Herb in the booth, you could say that first game was when I became a lifelong Tribe fan. Something about Cleveland made us want to stay and call it our home, raise our family here. I can promise you one thing. Home or on the road, I feel what you folks feel, what you feel every game. Cleveland fans are passionate and pretty vocal. I respect that. This is our team. This is our town. This is a Tribe town.
Hi, this is Dean Chenoweth, head coach of Cleveland's Lake Erie Monsters, and you're listening to the Sports Fix.
Across the sport before I move out during the break. I'm under the bullets here, man. I was firing off tweets and texts and Facebooks and all of that stuff during the last segment, getting ready for Jessica, and during the segment with her. I don't know what. Apparently, one of them, I said Leslie Davis instead of Leslie Smith. So I just tweeted out. I said, yeah. I just caught that. I said, don't worry. After Jessica Evil Eye gets done whooping that butt, she's going to wish her name was Leslie Davis, because Leslie Smith isn't going to be too happy with what happened. So there you go. But thanks, of course, for pointing that out. I mean, hey, I would have pointed it out. Well, no, I'm not that guy. But thanks to that guy for pointing that out as we come back to the show. Man, what an interview, Jessica. Can't wait to catch up with her after the victory. As like we said, you know, she went through some stuff, and you got to like the attitude. Hopefully she did learn from it and turn that life around, and she is moving forward and can continue to be onward and upward in 2015. Can't wait. And Stipe as well. Will talks to, he's got it in his sights, man, and I say it too. He's definitely as good of a heavyweight as any of the other ones that are out there, man. We'll talk more about that coming up. Thanks to those guys for being with us. Greg from NAAFS for helping me put that together. Now, hour 2 across the Sports Fix Radio Network. Time to crack the mic with Dr. Football. Talk a little bit about we'll look back at the weekend that just was, finishing up with Monday Night Football last night, and look ahead Browns, Bengals coming up Thursday, starting things off. Let's do it. Tuesdays, that means the doctor's in the house. Dr. Football Bill Chachkes with us as he is each week, and he's with us now. Bill, how you doing this afternoon?
Oh my God, J-Rock! I needed some real heavy migraine medication after that game last night.
I'll tell you what, man. You're a Giant. I know that the Giants, it pulls deep in your heartstrings, but boy, did they roll over last night or what, man? They are just it's falling apart. You know what though? I mean, Andrew Luck's a tough one to handle anyway. They've got the thin defensive backfield. We know the problems that they've had there. They were showing the stats at one point during the game last night about the Giants secondary, how on the corners, on the outside, they're doing pretty well at keeping teams contained, but they're just getting gobbled up in the middle of the field by teams left and right. Andrew Luck last night, he went to work, but you know what? A couple of good catches too. That one in the end zone where the defensive back had the interception and the receiver just did a hell of a job coming down, grabbing the face mask and getting that ball loose, and it ended up being a touchdown instead of an interception in the end zone. And there was another one, too, that was just a hell of a catch. The one to the left side of the end zone where the guy was standing on the goal line with two guys on him, and Andrew Luck just threw it so hard that his guy was the only one that could catch it. A couple of good ones there, but still, yeah, Giants, you couldn't be happy last night as a Giants fan. I know that, Bill.
No, I was not, but I come to expect this now this year. As the injuries mount up, the further deep in the morass the Giants get. But, hey, good win on Sunday for the Browns, and I saw a lot of good things around the league this weekend. The league continues to impress and entertain as we go.
Yeah, absolutely. The Browns, it is what it is with the victory here this week, but it sets the stage for a chance to see where you're at. And it really is, to me, a good test. As a matter of fact, a buddy of mine, because I was talking to somebody last night, and I've got some friends, a couple that are in the anti-Brian Hoyer camp. You guys, trust me, you can't be a Cleveland sports fan unless you know somebody on both sides of the equation here. But I was talking to a buddy last night, and he goes, well, man, you got to admit, if they don't go win Thursday night, man, you got to go with Manziel, right? And I'm like, no, what I got to admit is if they don't win Thursday night, they're 5-4. They're still above 500. What in the world is wrong with you people? And he's like, well, I want to see Johnny football. I said, that's great. But think about what you just said. You just said if the Browns don't win on Thursday, the season's over. Toss the kid in there. We might as well move forward. And I'm like, you do realize that they'll still be above 500, right? Like, very much excited. I don't know if you heard at the beginning of the show, I was a bit surprised at that stat that I put out there. This is the first mid to late season, week 10 or later, matchup between the Browns and the Bengals for first place since 1986. I mean, it's been that long because much like the Browns and the Steelers, when one team's up, the other team's down, and the Bengals aren't up very much. The few times they have been up, it's been at lower times for the Browns. So a bit of a throwback here, but can the Browns play like a throwback? Because this Cincy offense is going to put some test to the Browns defense.
Well, actually today, J-Rock, was the first time in a couple weeks I did actually listen from moment one of the broadcast. And I want to tell you, having me follow a female MMA fighter, I really appreciate that because, just to see all these guys in the chat room jumping up and down and, acting like wanking willies, it was hilarious to see. But it's good that she's on a good route with her career, and I guess reading some of her stuff on Wikipedia tells you why her nickname is Evil. And I don't know, maybe that's what the Giants need in their defensive backfield is somebody to be evil, because the only guy who's even close is Antrell Roll, and nothing's happening over there with his teammates. Another injury last night to Prince Amukamara. But getting back to the Browns, a lot of people said that was a trap game, that they weren't going to get past Tampa. I knew they would beat Tampa, but whether or not it was going to be the ugly win or not was really the question. And, the offensive line is coming together. I still saw a little bit of weakness in a few points in the game, but they look much better than they did 2 and 3 weeks ago.
Now, I'm just curious. I'm going to start here while you're talking about the offensive line. Something in my gut tells me, I could be wrong about this, I wonder if we see Crowell and West as the two backs Thursday night on the short week. I think we see Crowell definitely because of fresh legs on a short week. Joe Thomas was explaining the other day, as most people know, it's usually the second day after the game that you're really feeling it. So, unfortunately for the Browns, the second day after the game is the one day you have to practice for the Thursday night game. So you've really got to bounce quick. The good thing is, as Joe Thomas said, is the other team's going through the exact same thing that we are. But Crowell didn't play a snap, as we know. So he's got fresh legs. I absolutely think that he's going to be, not because we want him to be, I think because of that, he's going to be a big part of the Browns' game plan because he's the one back you can throw out there that'll be fresher than his own offensive line and the defense. But I wouldn't be surprised if West and Crowell are the two backs this week. I know that Tate is your veteran, but he's struggled. And we saw when he went out with the injury, the best, it's not fair to Tate that the best 3 weeks for the Browns was when they had Mack and Crow and West were running while Tate was hurt. But we're not talking about being fair. Reality is the Browns running game was at its best then. Now, it's not going to be that good without Alex Mack. But I'm wondering if the Browns aren't going to be bit by curiosity to try those two backs and maybe phase Tate out a bit in this one. You could say it's because he's a veteran, got a little bit of mileage on him on a Thursday night turnaround. But I think no matter who the second one is, I think they rely on Crow a lot this week because of the fact that he hasn't played.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. Like you said, his legs are fresh. Also, I tend to feel that while Tate is the veteran, he does not recover as quickly after games. And obviously with the short week going on a Thursday, they would rather use him afterwards, 11 days later in the next game. Then he'll be really fresh, and you'll have all the guys fresh because you'll have everybody rested over a week.
Yeah. So what do you think about it, though? Looking at this week and it being what it is, what do you think? I mean, obviously the Browns defensively, as I said, going to be challenged here. Geno Atkins is going to be another, following up on what McCoy did last week. He's going to be right behind, pushing up on McDonald, pushing through that line. I do agree with you that little by little, this offensive line will get, I said right around week 10 or 11, I thought they would be fully used to each other. They're still only going to be so good that you can be with Nick McDonald. That's not being disrespectful to Nick McDonald. There's a reason that if you play Madden that he's rated a 59 and Alex Mack is rated a 95. I'm joking, but there's a reason that people have those guys where they have them in their relative depth chart. So you're only going to get so good, but it's still, I do believe it's going to get better. And I think, again, that's where I'm looking at what Tate did. 10 carries, 3 yards, just nothing happening. I think Tate is really effective with the good zone blocking. He's used to it from Houston. It's what we had during the first 5 weeks of the season. I think without that, you're better off with West and Crowell because they plow forward more. They push through harder, whereas Tate, I'm not saying he can't, but I don't think he's anywhere near as effective when he doesn't have a good veteran zone blocking offensive line, and that's what the Browns don't have right now. And I think that's the biggest problem with Ben Tate is not he can't do it unless it's a certain way, and that's okay. He was brought here with the intention of running behind a zone blocking offensive line, but things have changed, and I think in that manner you may be better off going with the plow horses.
Yeah, man-to-man blocking is an entirely different run scheme than zone blocking, as you know. Zone blocking, is kind of like Da Vinci's defense plan from the old days when you defend a fort or a fortification with interlocking fields of fire. It's the same thing. You set up a zone where you expect certain guys to block within that zone, and then outside of that zone, somebody else is supposed to take over. Whereas with man-to-man blocking, you square up and you hit your guy head on, and you keep pushing that guy and you get that guy out of the way, hopefully without using your hands to hold his jersey and draw a holding penalty. Man-to-man is more effective, but it also takes more skill.
Yeah, so I wondered what your thought was on that there.